So guys, let's quickly figure out together how to use scanning. Like, first, we need a post process. If you already have one, simply open it. If not, please create one by following the guide. In the scene, type details, then select post process. Here, in the section called post process materials, click the plus sign and set the reference. At this point, choose which material you want to use. Our material is located in the materials folder, specifically in MA. Now, let's select one and try to run it. By default, nothing works. For it to work, we need to activate the effect. The logic is located in the character, that is, in the character's camera, in the demo fire camera folder. Here, you need to copy this logic and paste it into your own character. I'll delete it along with you and set it up again from scratch. Then you need to select the timeline, which is the sequence of events in your project, and rename it to Scample for easier identification. I'll delete all of this, as these elements are responsible for controlling the playback speed, but I personally do not need that feature. If you ever need to adjust the playback speed, that's perfectly fine. Now, when I press, it's currently set to infinite. When I press, now the animation plays correctly, just as we intended. Now, let's do the following. Let's select this material and take a closer look to see what settings it has available. First of all, I want to remove the fade from the scan. What this fade does is, when we start the animation, it gradually fades out after a short while, making the effect disappear. I don't want it to fade out. Now it will stay active until we manually deactivate it. How do you deactivate it? In this case, we use the E key, it triggers the scan again. Press E and it resets. Alright, my map is small, not very big, so I want to reduce the radius. I've reduced the radius and now it's more compact. Next, we have the overall brightness and blend strength parameters with all. In this case, I have it set to 25. Let me select the post process. And I'll just lower the exposure a little bit right now. Alright, my blend strength is 25, which is a hard blend. If I set a lower value, all three colors will blend more softly. The first color controls the brightness of the outline, so the outline color is rendered nicely. The second color is responsible for the pattern. We have it on the floor and 30 people to scan for color, but let's leave it blue. This is the blend hardness. If we increase it, they will blend softly, merging together more gradually and seamlessly. All these effects, our pattern and this beam here, are influenced by this setting. We'll set it back to its original value. And then we have the radius, which we talked about earlier with the contact and so on, affecting how the edges interact and transition. That is the camera start, the position. If you have it on the character or the camera, then it's not essential for you to check this box. But if you have a third-person character, for example, then it's better to uncheck it. Without it, the effect will start where the camera is. With it, it will be on the character. Next, we now have the brightness and outline. And if the parameter lamp is set, it specifically controls the clamp. If our brightness and the value M are exactly the same, then the outline will be the same everywhere, remaining consistent. If we limit it, then as the effect progresses farther, the amount of highlighting will gradually decrease. Alright, the scan eye K-line controls the brightness. Right now it shines very brightly, making the effect quite noticeable. Alright, next it controls the hardness. The first one will be set to soft. But as for these two parameters, I don't recommend touching them, always set them the way I do. Then we have the pattern that's on the shadow floor. What really stands out are these highlights, and to turn them off, you need to switch them. And we check the box for World Loon because otherwise our texture will be projected all over the world, which is not what we want. No, we definitely don't need that, so in this particular case, we turn it off. Next, we have distortion smog control, which basically means distortion. Here we can adjust the speed, the strength, and also the amount, giving us more control. Alright, next we have the size. If we set it to something small, we'll get fine ripples. If we set it to something large, the distortion will appear as big waves. Next is the overall brightness of the texture, followed by the contrast. The higher the value, the less of our pattern remains visible. Then we have the size of the effect itself. For example, I'll set this to 512 and you'll see that the patterns have become larger. Next is the texture itself. If you use a texture from ones that are separated, where the channels are split. For example, I'll go in here and take a look. So the information is on the R channel, the next one is on G, and another on B. So if the three channels are separated, you can choose here which one you want to use. Next, we have the distortion texture. Choose whichever one you want here of your choice. And then we have the texture projection radius. If I set it lower, you'll notice that the texture is now appearing all around my character. These textures are distributed throughout the world, so just set it to whatever value you need for yourself. Next, hard pattern is responsible for blending. So, if this value is relatively low, it will fade out smoothly. If it's quite high, it will cut off abruptly.